I'm sure you read that title and scoffed a little bit, because how dare anyone suggest that another major platform holder works directly with a competing platform? But that's exactly what I am suggesting here. And I've hinted at this in the past, how neat I think it would be for Microsoft to work closely with Nintendo, more closely than they already do. And the reason I brought this up before, typically in our podcast, is because Microsoft has done some things, interestingly enough, to have a close relationship with Nintendo. Now, Minecraft's obviously where the closest of the close relationships comes into play. Minecraft is on Switch. It has cross-play with Xbox and PC. And in addition to that, Xbox Live accounts are actually used on Switch with achievements for the Nintendo Switch version on your primary Xbox Live account. So you log into Xbox Live on your Switch to play Minecraft. So it's just a very interesting relationship that Nintendo has with them. On top of that, Nintendo is fine with crossplay of basically any game with Xbox or PC, and they would be fine with it with PlayStation if Sony would just get their head out of the sand and allow crossplay to actually exist on their platform with competing systems. They only let it work with PC, so like, hey, you want to play PUBG, on PlayStation 4 with your PC buddies, you can, but you want to play with Xbox, you can't. So, whatever. This is just a thing that Sony is still being really, really stubborn on. Remember, they have to protect the children. Oh, my God. Such a ridiculous statement from a couple years ago. Anyways, at this point, I want to talk about what could realistically happen for Microsoft and Nintendo to work together. Now, you guys might know of another YouTuber named Dreamcast Guy. I think he actually released a video today. I'm not 100%. I know he was working on something because he put out a tweet yesterday where he said, heard some people talking about Microsoft and Nintendo doing a surprise team-up this year at E3. Now, he's not saying he has any actual sources for this, just that he's seen people talking about this kind of thing, and maybe he wants to present some merit to it. And I actually think there could be some merit to it, although before I go into why I think this is a good idea for Microsoft and Nintendo to work together, I want to make something very clear right now. I have no rumor information to base this on. I have no sources, no inside sources, no outside sources, no other, major YouTubers or people on Twitter or people anywhere, even on 4chan, to reference for this. This is merely my opinions being thrown out there on why I think they could work together. And no, I don't expect anything at E3, although there is one possibility I think could occur based on what seems to be a growing relationship between Microsoft and Nintendo. Now let me explain a few things here. Obviously, we know Microsoft and Nintendo have had lots of kind words back and forth, especially since the launch of Switch. Phil Spencer's a big Nintendo fan, and he runs all of Xbox, plus is now a little bit higher up in the company to allocate even more funds to do things. We know that Xbox has had an issue with games, right? They haven't been able to get a ton of exclusives, or even, and I'm not just talking about console exclusives, I just mean like Microsoft exclusives between Xbox and PC. Sea of Thieves feels like it came out forever ago, even though it was just last month. So at this point, I think Microsoft might be looking for ways to expand their audience. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be on Xbox. And we already know this because they already do it with PC, right? You never need to buy an Xbox to play Xbox games anymore. You can play basically all of them on PC, or getting close to being all of them. And all future games will be on PC and Xbox. But what if a world existed where Microsoft actually worked a little bit with Nintendo? And that's a world I think is wholly possible. Phil Spencer has obviously talked in the past about how much he wants Banjo and Kazooie to be in Smash Bros. And for starters, Nintendo's never actually added any Western-created characters to the game that's not wholly owned by Nintendo themselves. Nintendo does not own Rare, does not own the rights to Banjo-Kazooie, so it would be odd for Nintendo to add them in, for Sakurai to add them in, as he only tends to add third-party characters that come from Japanese companies. But there could be a situation here where Rare Replay, which contains many, many, many games that were on Nintendo systems originally, could come over to Switch. I think it's actually an opportunity that's being missed in the market right now for Microsoft to take advantage of that wealth of content and throw it on Switch. We're seeing it with the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, which most of those games, in fact, I don't think any of those games were ever on a Nintendo platform before. But now they're coming to Switch. And I feel like this would be a good faith movement for Microsoft. But look, we're going to give you Rare Replay. And that actually makes it a lot more likely to me that Banjo and Kazooie could make it into Smash Bros. So if Microsoft gives Nintendo Rare Replay, says, look, we want to put Rare Replay on your system, and then in return we just want to see Banjo-Kazooie and Smash, because that kind of advertises Rare Replay. Sweet. It's kind of a win-win for everyone involved. Fans who have wanted Banjo-Kazooie and Smash forever get it. People who've been wanting to play Banjo-Kazooie or Conkers or anything like that on Nintendo systems, again, will get to do it. And heck, who knows? Maybe we can even get the Xbox version of Conkers as well as an option on a Switch. Now, what does this mean long haul beyond a Rare Replay situation in Banjo-Kazooie? It can mean many different things. I don't think this means you're going to be able to play Halo on a Switch anytime soon, unless Microsoft decides to get out of console making altogether and stick to PC, and then they also use Nintendo to kind of be like a partnership release, like, hey, well, we're going to release Halo on your system, but also on PC, and have cross-platform play. And that could be a reality that exists. But I think that what Microsoft cares about more is expanding their audience, expanding their reach, and making people happy. Because there's other things that can work back and forth. As an example, Nintendo can give their stamp of approval for something like GoldenEye to run on Xbox. Now, I'm not saying it needs to happen. I think most of us will be happy with GoldenEye coming out on Switch, especially with online multiplayer aspects. But you kind of catch my drift here. I think a nice partnership can be formed. Now, some of you might be salivating at the idea of the number one thing we can gain out of this being Xbox Live. Now, you might not like paying for online services, but at least they've standardized things like the universal account system, using your account across multiple Xbox devices and even your PC. The voice chat situation is 100 times better. The friends list situation is 100 times better. The messaging system is there. The whole backbone of what really makes up a good online account system is already there. And so a lot of people might want to say, hey, why don't we just swap out the Nintendo account system for an Xbox system, or a Nintendo/Xbox system where somehow everything works together. And I think that's actually the least likely scenario to happen, despite the fact that Xbox Live technically lives on Switch right now. I think that we need to be a little bit more realistic in that scenario, where I think Nintendo's always going to kind of do their own thing. They're still technically partnered with Dena, who is supposed to be helping Nintendo with their online account system and their online systems in general. That's launching in September, that we're supposed to learn more about soon, by the way. Like at some point this month, early this month, they're supposed to be updating the official website, and we're supposed to get new information. It just hasn't happened yet. But still, I think this is an interesting prospect of just having these companies work a little bit more closely together, where you see certain titles of certain caliber end up going to each other's platforms for the betterment of those of the sales of those games, and for the betterment of the people who own those platforms. Obviously, this could lead to down the line where if Xbox just doesn't make systems anymore, all of their games come to Nintendo. That's obviously a distinct possibility. But again, we're just talking in hypotheticals here. We're talking in desires. Obviously, I would love to see Microsoft and Nintendo just work hand in hand on everything. They are a massively bigger company than Nintendo could ever dream of being, and I don't think they want to get out of hardware anytime soon, even if their market is shrinking, at least this generation. They could end up bouncing back next generations, and maybe they're the lead platform. But what I do think is that when Microsoft initially got into the game of video games, they were trying to work with Nintendo and Sony back then. And now things have kind of come full circle, and I think we're looking at a future where at least Microsoft and Nintendo's relationship is going to be a lot closer. And I honestly think Sony is partially to thank for some of this. They're vehemently being against working with other platform holders, not wanting to work with Xbox, not wanting to work with Nintendo. trying to really close off their community from the rest of the video game world that isn't on PC, is creating this environment where it's almost pushing Nintendo and Microsoft closer together as well. But what I want to know is your guys' thoughts on all of this down in the comments below, because again, I'm just speculating. I'm just giving my desires. I'm stating why I think these two companies can work very well together. What I want to know is your thoughts on this. Do you want them working well together? Would you like to see certain Nintendo games on Xbox and certain Xbox games on Nintendo? Would you like to see more interactions with their IPs? Would you like to see Xbox Live for some reason become the backbone on Switch, which I think that's not even a possibility, but whatever, maybe that is something you end up desiring. Let me know all of this down in the comments below, because I feel like there is a much deeper conversation we can have, and who knows, if the speculation that's out there that a big announcement happens at E3, hey, at least we can say, look, hey, we kind of sort of talked about the possibility at least, right? And yeah, so maybe have some expectations. I don't know what to tell you. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments below. I am Nintendo Jets from Nintendo Prime, and if you like this video, you know what to do, and if you dislike the video, hit that dislike button, subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yes. Yes.